Hello, it's Tim from Fairplay Now on the 9th of August 2023. So today what I thought I'd do is just have a little chat about the dangers of central bank digital currencies. Now these digital currencies are going to be one of the three cornerstones with which many people think our digital imprisonment is going to be coming about in years to come. And the problem isn't so much that these currencies are digital, but the fact that they are going to be what's called programmable digital currencies. That's where the big problem is. I mean, if they weren't able to be programmable, they might not be such a problem. But what do I mean about programmable digital currencies? Well, I'll take a bit of an analog thing. Sounds a bit strange, but I'll take an analog thing to illustrate it for you very graphically, so it's going to be 100% clear in your head. So I've got a UK or an English £10 note there, and I suppose if you're not from this country, the purchasing power of that, you can probably get, about 7 or 8 loaves of standard brown bread, or maybe somewhere between 2 to 4 pints of beer, depending on where you are in the country and what kind of pub you go into. So that's roughly the spending power of that. And the thing with this is I can literally spend it on anything I want and anywhere in the country I want. I can spend this down here in the southeast of England. I can go and spend it in the northwest of England. I can spend it in Scotland, Wales, and even France and the Republic of Ireland if I went to a bureau de change and swapped that for the equivalent value of euros. And I can spend it anywhere I want, and I can spend it on anything I want as well. So, I can spend it on a pint of beer, or I can spend it on food, I can spend it on fuel for the car, spend it on some whatever treats I want, anything really. So that there is a lot of freedom. It's not total freedom. I know you got these places that don't accept cash, which is a whole another story and bone of contention, which I won't go into today. But it's one of the freest things we've got at the moment as far as being able to make transactions are concerned. There's a few other concerns about it as well, whether this is actually worth anything in reality, those sort of things. It's fiat currency after all, but we won't go into that. Now contrast that with, I'm sure you've got these things as presents in the past for Christmas and your birthday or whatever. The good old store voucher. I've got a very professionally produced example of one of those right here. So there again, it's worth £10, and there we are. That is a voucher I can go and spend, well, if it's a real one, in Boots, which again, if you don't know, is a major store here in the UK. So that though, I'm not free to spend it anywhere I want. It is essentially a programmed kind of form of currencies. I can only spend it in that particular shop there, and I can't go and spend it in a pub. I can't go and spend it in a petrol station or anything like that. I can only go into Boots and spend it on their products, and that's it. And I also believe that they've got expiry dates on these sort of vouchers. I don't really like them. I never really ever use them that much, so I don't know that much about them. But I believe they've got expiry dates, 2 or 3 years. And if you try and go and spend it after that expiry date, obviously you won't be able to spend it. So that's kind of explains to you a little bit what a programmable currency is, in my funny little way at least. It's just a form of currency that has parameters, stipulations, restrictions, which are imposed by the entities who create the vouchers. So if we go over into the digital world of digital currencies, as I say, if they weren't programmable, they were just there, and if you had a few of them, I could go and spend them anywhere I wanted. That'd be fine, or it wouldn't at least be nearly the problem that these programmable digital currencies are likely to be. But the thing is, with a programmable digital currency, they can impose various conditions and stipulations overnight because it's programmable. They just have to get some whiz kids on the computers in the middle of the night, program in what they want, and boom. Well, it probably wouldn't even be people, it'd probably be algorithms and AI in this day and age, wouldn't it? And boom, all of a sudden, that £10 you thought you had in your kind of digital wallet, as it were, is either not spendable at all, or you've got restrictions on it. So why would there be restrictions on it? Well, one thing they could possibly do, there's talk of this, is they'll give you, like that store voucher, a time limit. So you won't be able to save up your digital credits, your digital pounds, and create a nice little nest egg like you can now with cash. No, they'll expire if you don't spend them after a month or a year or whatever it might be. So that is one kind of little restriction on your freedom that may well come in, but it gets a lot worse than that. Let's decide for some crazy reason that the government and the powers that shouldn't be decide to restrict you to a zone which you can't leave. Anything that's more than 15 minutes walk from your front door, for sake of argument, you can't go beyond that. Well, you might think, there's no physical barriers there. I'm going to go as far as I want, thank you very much. Well, you go off in your car and you're half an hour away from your home, and you realise you need to fill up with some fuel, or maybe you want to get some food or whatever it is, and you go into the shop or the petrol station and, oh, sorry sir, it's not accepting your payment off your digital wallet, I'm afraid. And you then find out that it's because, a little notice might come up saying, sorry, you are outside of your 15-minute zone, and therefore you cannot access your money. So you then got to turn around and go back to a shop or a petrol station that's inside your 15-minute zone, and lo and behold, the restriction comes off and you're able to spend that money again. And that is just one example of many different restrictions they can put on. And it can get a lot more sinister than that. Let's say you've made a comment on Facebook or something, YouTube, that's not particularly favourable towards the government or the Prime Minister or some politician. All of a sudden, again, you find you can't spend that £10 you thought you had in your digital wallet. And the thing comes up saying you've been making unfavourable comments towards the government, and therefore your account has been frozen for 24 hours, 48 hours, a week, a month, whatever it might be. And then all of a sudden you're struggling to, maybe feed yourself perhaps. And that is the level of control that they would have over your money. And it can go into so many other things. You might have some kind of medical intervention that the government wants you to have, and you don't want to have it. Again, they can lock you out of your own money because of that infringement. And there's so many other things as well. Let's say you've used up your allotted amount of carbon credits, or you've had your allotted amount of meat for the month, or your allotted amount of sort of fatty foods, whatever it might be. They sort of then come up with a message saying, sorry, you've had too many saturated fats and this thing you're trying to buy contains saturated fat and you can't make this purchase at this time, sort of come back next week or next month or something. And that is the level of danger. And you might sort of think, I'm a very law-abiding citizen. I sort of believe in all of this kind of climate thing, and that we need to be restricted on our carbon and maybe being forcibly restricted on our diet so that we only eat healthily, etc. You might think that's all potentially a good idea, but what if it comes to something that you don't agree with, which could be very, very possible? And I thought the same thing a few years ago, and then the government started doing things I didn't agree with, and here I am sort of finding myself in an anti-government position, whereas I used to be, well, not necessarily pro-government, but I used to be a good law-abiding citizen. I'm still law-abiding, but I'm very anti-government now. And you could find yourself in the same position. Let's say the government decides that, as there is talk of at the moment, the government decides they don't like people having pets because, cats and dogs and things, because all of their food, etc., takes up too much in the way of carbon allowances. So they decide to restrict you to one pet or no pets at all. So all of a sudden you can't go and get food for your pets, or you can't get medical care for your pets, or you can't go and purchase a new pet, go and buy a new dog or something from the sanctuary or sort of breeders or whatever. So that is something that you could be looking at in the future. So this, I hope I've demonstrated in quite a graphic manner what programmable currencies are, and more importantly, what the dangers behind them are. And if this topic is new to you, do go out and research the concerns behind digital currencies. There's quite a lot of other channels here on YouTube who will tell you a lot more about them than what I have, but they are a concern, and they are something that we should not be welcoming or accepting at all, as far as I'm concerned, in my opinion. So, gonna leave it there. Hope that's been a little bit educational for you, and or at least a way perhaps that you can use to show other people what the dangers of digital currencies are, or programmable digital currencies are. So, gonna leave it there for now. Back soon. Tim from Fair Play Now. Thanks for watching.